Margaret Thatcher, in 1984, said young people ought not to be idle. It is very bad for them. From an employment standpoint, she was right. As The Economist reported in an article on joblessness published last year, those who start their careers late are more likely to have lower wages and more spells of joblessness later in life because they lose out on the chance to acquire skills and self-confidence in their formative years. Thus, it is bad news when the Annie E. Casey Foundation wrote in a report that youth employment levels are at the lowest level since World War II. Only about half of young people ages 16 to 24 held jobs in 2011. Now, I personally, thankfully, have never had an issue with getting a job. My first job I got when I was 16 when someone contacted my high school looking for someone to go work as a bookkeeping assistant, no experience necessary. Needless to say, with that, I jumped on the opportunity. I called in during lunch the same day to apply, and because I was the first person to reply, I was hired instantly. Now, I remember when I told my friends I got my job, they were all very happy for me, but they all wanted me to go back and contact my employer, see if there was another position for them, which there wasn't. I then learned that my friends had all applied for jobs at Target, Fuddruckers, Knott's Berry Farm, and plenty of other places with entry-level positions, and had all been rejected. All positions were given to people with better experience. James A. Johns from Johns Hopkins University identified this as a problem when he put it this way. To get a job these days, you need experience, but you can't get experience without a job. Needless to say, a vicious cycle. But before we go into that, I want to talk about myself a bit more. I'm kind of selfish like that. And so from a very young age, I experienced business success across the board, from setting school records at fundraisers. Even today, I make a lot of money as a small-time cookie salesman. You should hit me up. They're really good. And so when I first signed up to give this speech, I figured I would like to give a speech about my successes in the world of business. That was a great day. But you see, then I realized I can't just come up here and talk only about me. I got to talk about something that, while it can relate to me, also should connect to the audience. So I figured I should come up here and talk about my successes in the world of business and tie it in with youth in the workforce. I thought it was perfect, especially given that this is TEDx Youth. But when I sat down to do the research, the numbers I found were frankly dismal. The U.S. is in a slump right now when it comes to youth employment. So upon realizing the gravity of the situation, I realized I needed to come up here and give you guys an honest perspective on this topic. So I'm here to explain to you the reasons why we are in a decline, as well as to give an example of a long-term solution to this problem. So let's start with the reasons why we're in this problem. Going back to the report from the AECF, they observed how 40 years ago, a teenager leaving high school could find a job at a local factory. In the 1990s, even after outsourcing took its toll on employment, it used to be that positions, entry-level positions in fast food restaurants and clothing stores were jobs that even high school dropouts could depend upon. But nowadays, it sometimes takes a GED to flip burgers, and even college graduates are having trouble finding work. So where have all these jobs gone? Right? I mean, surely it stands to logic that if even college graduates are having trouble finding a job, it must be that there are less positions in our communities, right? Wrong. In fact, with the economy on the rise, some experts predict that there will be more opportunities in future days than there have been in the past. A lot of the positions are still here. It's just that they have become specialized. Here's what actually happened. First, a little vocab lesson. Outsourcing. Outsourcing is a term that refers to when a company takes a job that could be done in one country or state and has it done elsewhere, generally overseas. So a lot of major companies and corporations that used to have factories here in the 1970s have been outsourcing jobs over the years for different motivations. It could be to avoid meeting workplace safety regulations. It could be to cut down on labor costs, whatever else it may be. And they still outsource jobs. In fact, last year, 2013, over 2 million jobs were sent to China, Indonesia, and India. So outsourcing resulted in a wave of unemployment. They targeted people that were in unskilled labor, which is a term that refers to positions that require literally nothing more than basic applied skills. These people were people that had learned nothing more besides what they got in high school and in job training. In response, these unemployed, unskilled laborers went over to entry-level positions formerly held by high schoolers. And they got these jobs because at least they had workplace experience to develop their soft skills, their team-building skills, their interpersonal communication skills. And that gave them an upper hand over the high schooler applicants. As a result, youth employment has declined as fewer and fewer stable youth employment positions have popped up. The skilled laborers, however, have stayed put. Not all factories have moved overseas. These factories that have stayed put, however, required skilled labor and a specialized education. All right, so we've looked at the reasons why we're in this problem. Now let's look at an example of a solution. It's not in entry-level jobs, that's for sure. My friends, the future of stable youth employment is in skilled labor positions. It seems the days that where a youth could commonly get entry-level jobs are over. While getting a job early helps out with finances and soft skill development, it is no longer the way to go. This dilemma, if anything, points out the importance of following through and getting an education in a specialized area of work. That is to say, to be a good student will result in a good future. Now, I want to remind you all that the age range from the AECF was 16 to 24 years of age. This is very interesting for us. Oxford Academy, the school I come from, Whitney, Troy, and multiple other high schools are college preparatory high schools aimed at getting kids to attend college right out of high school. Thus, considering that the average person graduates high school at 18 years of age, to attend a 4-year university would mean to graduate at the age of 22. To get a job within 2 years of graduating from that 4-year university is an example of youth employment. Thus, with this, it could be said that to get a job these days, you need skill, and you can develop skill through education. Quote credits to myself, of course. Specifically, a college education. Gone are the days where one could walk out of high school and get an entry-level job without a problem. But that isn't necessarily bad. After all, it's just a reaffirmation of the importance of getting an education in order to experience success in life. Without a college education, we might end up like those unskilled laborers, drifting from job to job despite having been in the workforce for multiple years. While it is a rude awakening, we must learn from it. The future of stable youth employment comes after, not always during, education. Thank you for your time.